Thank you for joining me on my masterclass. Now, today I'm going to be teaching you how to make money from the stock market. That's how to make money from the stock market. Now, I've seen a number of videos, a number of people who claim that they can predict the stock market. They can predict the stock market. It's not possible. Nobody can predict the stock market, not even an app or not even an AI, because nobody can predict the future. And to predict the stock market is to predict the future. So the stock market is, there are things in the stock market that nobody can foresee. So when you have things like that, for instance, a pandemic, nobody can foresee a pandemic. We can reasonably ascertain, okay, maybe a pandemic might come around this time or around that time, but with specificity, nobody can say this is when the pandemic is going to come, or things like maybe spontaneous wars, or maybe the death of a leader. There are a number of things that people can't predict. Now, people may not be able to predict the stock market. However, it is possible to predict how the stock market will react to different stimuli. So you can't predict the stock market, but you can predict how the stock market will react or respond to different stimuli. And the reason why this is important is because the stock market always corrects itself after a stimuli. Well, when I say stimuli, it just means that something that stimulates the stock market. So I'll give you a very good example. Since 1928, now we are in the year 2023. So that this is 95 years. So we got 95 years between 1928 and 2023. In that 95-year history, we've had 21 bear markets, 21 bear markets in the stock market, 21 bear market in the S&P 500. The S&P 500, if you are a subscriber of my channel, you know what it is. It's an index that's been indexed in the 500 largest corporations in America by market capitalization. So we know that in the last 95 years, we've had 21 bear markets. Now, what's a bear market? A bear market is a sustained period where stock market prices are falling. Now, we can understand what a bear market is so that we know what to do when we have a bear market. For instance, we know that bear markets typically they last for about 300, and if you're going to be exact with statistics, they last about 338 days. And then they come, fairly regularly, every 5 years or every 4 to 5 years. And so when you're in a bear market, you can now look at the 21 previous bear markets and say what has happened in those bear markets. So you can time when the bottom of the market is going to be likely to be, and then you buy at the bottom of the market. Because one thing we know is that a bear market is always, not sometimes, not most of the times, not substantially, but always followed by a bull market whereby prices go back up. So if you can buy at the bottom of the bear market and then just wait, because I mean, on the average, a bear market lasts about 338 days, which is about a year. So if you can wait about a year, or if you buy at the middle of the market, so at the bottom of the market, maybe you wait for 6 months, you make your money back. So that's one of the ways that you can make money from the stock market. Right now, we are in a bear market. Because we're in the bear market, I've bought a number of stocks. And if you watch this channel, I've told you some of the stocks that I've bought and I've made money from already. But I'm still going to make more money because, the stock market is having a course correction. We're having different things happening. We have Jerome Powell of the Federal Reserve Bank. We've got Gary Gensler of the SEC. They are trying to take actions to correct the market. So what you do is that you take a stimuli. So for instance, let's take a stimuli like a pandemic. We know that we just came out from a pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, which led to a lockdown. But then we've had, in the last 100 years, we've had a number of pandemics. We've had the Spanish flu pandemic, 1918, right? We had the influenza pandemic, the first one, and then we had the second one in the 60s, the second influenza pandemic. And then in the 80s, we had the HIV pandemic. And then in the early 2000s, we had the SARS pandemic. So when we have a pandemic, it affects the market. So a pandemic is a stimuli. So what we can do when we know that, okay, there's a pandemic coming and really nobody can predict the pandemic, it's much more difficult to even, will I say, index a pandemic than it is a bear market. So a pandemic is coming. You don't begin to get confused about the stock market, what you do is that you look at what happened in the last 4, 5, 6 pandemics, and then you see how the market behaved, because the best predictor of future events is past events. So you look at past events, you look at how the market behaved when you had previous pandemics, and then you now take action based on that. So when you're going into the stock market, you want to go with information. That's why I index the stock market. I also index cryptocurrency. You want to go with information. I'm going to give another example. We know that the Federal Reserve Bank in the United States, and then the Bank of England, and then maybe other banks all around the world, what they do is that they hike interest rates or they reduce interest rates depending on what they want to do with their economy. So right now, the Federal Reserve Bank, Jerome Powell, they've increased interest rates a number of times in the United States. So right now, interest rates in the United States are between 4.50 to 4.75, and Chairman Jerome Powell says that he wants to see a 5% interest rate. So we know whenever there is an interest rate hike, it affects the mortgage market, the mortgage industry, the housing market. So we know what to do. We go and look at what's happened in the last 20 cycles of interest rate hike, and then we take action based on that. And then there are a number of ways to buy stocks. You don't have to be in the United States to buy stocks. You don't have to be a US citizen to buy stocks or a US resident to buy stocks. What you can do from wherever you are in the world, you can actually buy stocks. There are apps. There are apps. You can use eToro to buy stocks. If you're in, excuse me, I just don't know where that came from. If you are in some parts of Africa, you can use apps like Chaka, you can use apps like Bamboo, but there are apps that you can use to buy shares. So you study the stock market with what I've told you about, and then you buy shares and you make money. That's how you make money from the stock market. It's not going to be by somebody predicting the future. Prophecy is not going to happen. Now, my name is Renan Mokri. It's quite a mouthful, and I do apologize. The cold is the height of winter over here. I do apologize for that sneeze and for that cough. But if you've watched this and you have questions arising from this, put them in the comment section of this video. My staff are going to do their best to respond to them. I'll try to respond to each and every category. Thank you for watching, and may God bless